Up next on Inside ChampCar, exploring the thrills and challenges of endurance racing. Welcome to Inside ChampCar. I'm Brian Bielanski. Along with me is our fearless leader, Bill Strong. That's you, Bill.
That's me.
Yeah, you can talk now.
How you doing, Brian?
I'm great. How are you?
Trying to figure out if everything's working right.
It looks to be.
Yeah, I haven't listened to it. I'll let you sort that out. So
I think we're good.
Yeah, it's been a busy day.
Yeah.
Kind of did a Inside ChampCar with Tiffany today that we'll use at a later date.
Nice.
That was fun.
Nice.
And of course, getting ready for the next races coming up. Tomorrow I head out to North Carolina to head out with Jimmy and sort out some stuff for awards and for pick up my stuff for Watkins Glen coming up here in a couple of weeks.
Cool.
So, yay.
With us tonight is RJ Till.
Quick, hide the big board.
No.
Don't let him see the big board.
How you doing?
All right, man.
Yeah,
I don't think RJ's too young to know that one. So
yeah, just right over my head.
That's okay.
That's all right. Everything you always wanted to know about nuclear bombs that we're afraid to ask. Look that one up. Hide the big board.
Welcome to the show, RJ.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
It's good to have you here. Bill, do you want to make the introduction? Because I don't know that everyone here will know who RJ is.
Well, this is RJ Till. He's applying for the job of marketing and media director at ChampCar.
Nice.
And we're going to do something new. We're going to have him interview for this.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Well, you don't want a demotion.
I did apply for that job. I don't know if you saw that come through or not, but I did.
Yeah, RJ is the vice president in charge of World Racing League. And people inside ChampCar are like, why do you have a guy from WRL on your show? Well, RJ actually started out with ChampCar many years ago. You have worked with us many times, or ChumpCar actually. And you also race with ChampCar. So you're building a ChampCar right now. Yeah,
we're working through some things. Used to race with Chattanooga Touring Wagon. Phil Fitzmaurice, Zach Mortimer, Justin Ford, all those guys got me roped into it back in the day, and it kind of all snowballed from there, as they say. So, it's been awesome, and everything kind of started with ChampCar. So still excited to do so.
Let's go back to the starting part. As you know, we always skip that.
Well, no, some of us do. This one was kind of hard to go right to that because we had to give a little bit of information about RJ. But we start every show, RJ, with the same question, and that is, how did you get mixed up in racing?
Yeah, that's a fun one. So I actually have always been into cars. Started out with video games, as I guess a lot of people who are millennials. I'm on the older side of the millennial thing, but I still have to claim it, so don't hold it against me. But
oh no.
So I kind of got into it that way. Family didn't come from racing or anything like that. Just became obsessed with all things cars, watching Speed Vision back in the day, NASCAR with my grandfather. And then, kind of went to college and all that stuff. And, always had dreams and aspirations of going racing. Started getting into sim racing because that was what was achievable, attainable at the time. So kind of a continuation of video games. And then after school, my friend Justin Ford got me into autocross. So I started doing autocross local here in the Chattanooga region. Did a bunch of that, ran timing and scoring back then, even kind of can't help but get involved in that side of things, I guess. So helped with timing and scoring and doing different things with autocross. And then one day, this super cool BMW E30 with the M stripe showed up at the autocross, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I just crawled all over this thing. I already knew Phil at the time, but it was his car. Justin and Zach had been racing with him for a while, and Cho Ray, if you know him, and those guys had all been racing. And I was just like, hey, can I come work on this car? What's going on? So I would go over there just about every day and help them prep the car. I went to Daytona with them, I think in 2013. Daytona, crewed the car. I think it blew up on like the 5th lap or something, but I was still hooked anyway. And then one day after working on the car for, probably 6 months, I showed up and my name was on the side of it. And they're like, you're racing. And I was like, what? And they're like, you're racing, buy a suit. So that was really cool. I kind of like telling that story. And it was, Phil and Zach and those guys, either owe it all to them or can blame them all for how I wound up here. But either way, it's been awesome. So got into that, and first race was NCM, the first event that they ever had there. I think we were the first people on track at NCM after they built it, our first competitive race. Did pretty good there. Autocross helped tremendously. Obviously, the autocross mixed with the sim racing, and I got up to pace pretty quickly in that first race. And then next one was Road Atlanta, and then I think the third race we did was back at NCM the next year, and we wound up winning. So at that point, I was completely hooked. So yeah, that's pretty much the story of it.
That's pretty awesome. I like the go buy a suit. How much time did they give you to buy the suit? I hope they didn't give you like 3 days.
Well, what's hilarious was I think this was sometime in like May or March, and in April we always go to the grassroots or the FSR Midi at Road Atlanta, and Discovery Parts was there, and they happened to have this nice OMP suit, on clearance, and I was like, oh man, so I picked that up there and took it home with me, so it all worked out.
Oh, so
he sees a sucker coming every time because it's always there. It's on sale, and it's your perfect size.
I was going to say, so you're one of those people who I have to despise because you fit into an off-the-shelf suit.
And I actually, full transparency, I think this one was like ordered for somebody, and then they returned it, so it's kind of a funky size, but it wound up fitting me because most of them are just too baggy or too tall or whatever.
Right.
So I got kind of lucky. I still have that suit, still wear it.
Yeah.
So that was the Midi. What was the event with the Midi? Was it were you doing just an endurance or a historic race?
No, we were just spectating. We've been going there for about 10 years. Like I was saying before the show, I actually got to participate in that this last weekend, which was an absolute hoot. And, it was another kind of pinch me moment because 10 years ago we were saying, man, someday we got to do this, pie in the sky. And we got to do it this year and got a podium in one of the races. So that was cool.
I saw you posted a picture up with a hottie in your trophy.
Yeah, that's the Stephanie
hottie.
Yeah. So, and she's super supportive, and she hung out the whole weekend. She works with WRL also. She runs all of our registration stuff. She also does, she's like our steward assistant manager, kind of just takes care of all the traffic and race control. She does an excellent job for us.
I came up at the WRL race or at the VIR race, and she just gave me the eagle eye the whole time.
Yeah, she's like, "What'd you do?" Yeah.
So then, you guys, how many ChumpCar races did you do back in the day?
I did this the other day. We did a lot, and the ones I wasn't racing in, I was volunteering at. That was kind of the other part of that story. I was pretty broke at the time and just out of college, so I'd go work all the events. I think I worked 4 VIR 24s, slept in a tent, and then packed up at the end, drove 7 hours home, and then I was at work at 8 a.m, half asleep, working at a bank, so I was able to hide just enough. But but yeah, so I did a lot of that, a lot of volunteering, so I was super involved. That was back with when Mike and Andrea were running everything. They were always super welcoming and helpful and all that. But yeah, I did a ton of it. So like I said, I was probably at 50% of the races for a span of 3 or 4 years, whether I was racing or working.
Yeah, it was fun times back then. I mean, it was just a big family. Not that it isn't like that now, because, Brian, you're part of the family.
I know. I keep trying to get out.
Yeah.
And every Monday and Tuesday, I get these emails about this show I'm supposed to show up on. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, it is. And I would say that across all different forms of kind of this grassroots motorsports. And even the non-grassroots motorsports, I'm involved with a lot of different series, and I've covered a lot of different series. And even on the high-end pro side in North America, you talk with the drivers in IndyCar or NASCAR or any of that, and they all talk about, having the motorhome lot, and everybody being there together, and it's all the kind of same, salt of the earth kind of people, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
Now,
except for Bill.
Well, yeah. So one of the cool things, so I've raced WRL. I raced WRL back in the early day, actually NCM with Troy. The cool thing that I found that WRL did is you guys found the right combination of cars for what you do. And that's turned out to be a huge success. getting the GT3 cars and the Porsches and just the high dollar, not high dollar, the, what do you call it? What would you call them?
It's kind of the cars that are being phased out of pro racing.
Right.
And so GT3 cars, I guess theoretically you could do some crazy engine swap and detuning, but GT4 spec cars are kind of the highest spec that we have now. And some of the newest GT4 cars, the newest crop, are, making a lot more power than the original GT4 cars were. So it's a little bit more of a challenge to get them down. But yeah, it's kind of a place, everything's relative, right? So these people that are racing or aspire to race these types of cars, it can be extremely expensive. If you're on Pirellis all weekend, or if you're on a Michelin all weekend, you're looking at, 6 sets of tires for a single race. 2 days, just get out of control. So the street tires, just like ChampCar, and the fact that most of these cars can be tuned to run on pump gas, totally changes the value proposition.
So they're a GT3 or GT4 car on street tires.
Correct. Yeah, everybody's on.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So just like you need to change the spring rates and change everything else to match, and brakes, right, to match the car or tire.
Actually, not in all cases. So ACI Motorsports is another kind of arm of our business, and they race an SRO and IMSA and do some different stuff. So I've been exposed to that side, and then obviously very exposed to the ChampCar side. So I think we kind of fit right in the middle. But as far as those cars go, a lot of them just work. The Supras, for example, the new ones, they pretty much slapped tires on them, and they said they made a bunch of changes, and then they wound up right where they started. And the cars were just good. So, that's the great thing. Those cars they're having to take about 100 horsepower out of them, 80 to 100 horsepower out of how they run in pro racing. So obviously that helps too when you're on a street tire and things like that. And even talking to the manufacturers we're affiliated with, they're kind of like, we're close to the limit of the street tire where we're at now, especially places like Daytona that are notorious for that, loading that outside rear. It's been a really great formula. And, even with these new GT4s coming in, the way that the math works, once they detune the cars, the street tire is kind of an equalizer, almost in the same way that rain is, because you're taking grip away. Everything tends to be pretty tight and consistent.
So the detuning of cars is due to your power. You do power to weight ratio, right?
Correct. Yeah. So GTO is 9-to-1 is our fastest class. So every horsepower has to carry 9 pounds. There's a couple modifiers that we've added in for forced induction over 2.5 liters. And if you're running Lexan windows, but you have to have air conditioning. So I won't get into all the nitty gritty details, but those things just kind of aim to equalize stuff. But what, obviously, my background, I come from ChampCar, and I do find the GT4 cars interesting and they're cool. But, we've got LS swapped Miatas out there in this class that have qualified second or third in a field of GT4 cars. Coda this last year, which is a 90 car race for us, E46 swapped M3 with a manual with a bunch of younger kids, Screaming Goat Racing. Shout out to those guys. They wound up winning the race on Saturday over, Kyle Busch and those guys that were out there too. Right. So they did a phenomenal job. So it's really cool. It kind of equalizes things. You can bring a GT4 car, you can bring whatever you dream up in that class and do well. If the car is well sorted, you got a good crew and good drivers. The GP classes that fall beneath that are really GP2 is where most Champ cars would find a home, or GP. Right. Yeah.
Now, you guys run 180 treadwear or 200 treadwear or higher?
So 180 is the minimum. To my knowledge, the only one that hits that number is the Michelin Sport Cup 2. Yeah. I don't know too much about the tire, but I know they change compounds and nobody runs them anymore. So
now I know that we were all part of both series actually when all these rules were made back in the day, and I remember them trying to pick a number, and I think 180, because a lot of a couple of tires that were the more expensive ones were around the 180 treadwear, but it seems like now everybody's putting 200 on a tire.
Yeah, so SCCA
100 tires are now marked 200.
Yeah. We are tracking that closely, as I'm sure you guys are. Yeah. We see the tires get faster and faster, and all that stuff is driven by autocross, because they're still, the largest consumer of those tires. Because there's just so many people doing that every weekend across the country.
Now it's funny because there was a time when we did not have rubber buildup on the track, marbles.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the first year we did Indy, driving around with the Touareg, doing my cameras and stuff, and I pulled back in. It's like, why is the car bouncing? And there was an absolute ton of marbles on the car after Saturday's race. And I'd never seen that before. It's just all of a sudden everybody showed up with these super sticky tires that were just peeling off rubber.
Well, I'd like to think that, ChampCar, WRL, AER, Lucky Dog, all these different endurance series are pushing these tire manufacturers to make these tires last longer. Because there was a swing somewhere around in the middle of my ChampCar days where like they dropped the Rival and went to the Rival S, and that just wouldn't last 8 hours.
No.
And then I think they saw some flashback, and then they adjusted and went to the 1.5. I'm a big tire nerd, so I can talk about this all day. But yeah, it's kind of cool. I think we're kind of driving all this endurance racing is kind of driving the decisions that these manufacturers are making to make them last a little longer, because an all-out 200 tread wear autocross tire just isn't going to last 8 hours.
I mean, you see our forum and the Facebook page, and everybody's talking about ways to do this, but it's be whack-a-mole. Whatever you do, some tire company is going to pop up there with a tire that's just uber slick and uber fast, 10 seconds a lap faster than everybody else. And the haves will buy them. The have-nots will scream and yell that, you can't do this. So I miss the Dureza. I love the Dureza. It lasted forever. I buy 3 and it lasts me 10 races. Well, it wouldn't last 10 races.
Well, that's because you only did like 2 hours a race.
Well, that's another another strategy of saving rubber. Sit in the paddock a long time.
Get like 6 races out of these things. Yeah.
I hate you, Brian.
So who's the target audience for WRL? Is it rich guys who have a lot of money to play with the more expensive cars? Is it young up and coming drivers who are trying to get some seat time to try to catch the eye of a pro team to go IMSA or SRO? Who's the audience?
I think nobody can be all things for all people. So I wouldn't say that we're that necessarily, but you can still operate in WRL on a very low budget, and kind of the way that everything operates. You can choose to stick a sequential in your Miata or whatever you want to do, but you're going to take a weight penalty for that, and it's pretty significant. So, a lot of cars, you can show up with a super basic, non-adjustable shock car and no wing, no splitter, stuff like that, and you're just going to have a lot of horsepower to play with versus the other cars in your class. So that's something that we've seen a lot of guys do and be super competitive. So, I would say ChampCar relative budget plus maybe 20-30% for a WRL car in the GP2, GP3 classes, just because the entry fees are a little higher. We do have Friday as a qualifying day, so you're on track. That's fuel, gas, hotel, stuff like that. That's a little bit more. But again, both are very different things, and they both present a very different product that I think both are like critical to this whole thing working. But yeah, I think we kind of have a place for most people. We've got rental teams with seats in the $2,000, $3,000 range, which is kind of, similar to ChampCar in some ways. And then as you go on up, obviously, you can spend more. GP1 has become extremely competitive, E46 M3s, C5 Corvettes, stuff like that. It was kind of a class that wasn't as big, but that one I would say, you're getting into the more expensive cars. But obviously NC Miata, NA Miata, great GP3 cars, E46, E36, they all can fit into GP1, GP2, or GP2, GP3, and really do really well on a lower budget. As you start getting into GP1 and of course GTO, it gets more expensive. But something like a K-swap Miata that we had at Mid-Ohio that was running, inside the top 5 on 225 tires in GTO, the winning Formula guys. I think if they add a little tire to the car, it'll be right there with the big boys.
Right.
But that was an NB Miata with the K-swap. And so it really can be done. It's kind of choose your own adventure. And I don't want to limit people's budget too much, because there's other places that are really good at kind of doing that. We just try to equalize the cars. And if you want to build it one way, you can spend a lot of money and it may not really turn into performance. And that's what the modifiers are for. And so far we've seen, where something like a Spec E46, of course, those are pretty expensive to buy because they've got some exotic parts, but you could replicate that pretty inexpensively, racing against something like we had a Miata with like a 2.5 swap and sequential and paddle shifted with the Motec steering wheel, Motec ECU, all that stuff. But every single race, they were within, tenths or hundredths of a second in qualifying. And they were operating on very different budgets. So that's kind of what we aim to do with WRL and with the rule set as kind of like a build your mousetrap. And, ChampCar obviously has the point system, which achieves a very similar thing in a different way. So that's just kind of our approach.
The reason I ask is because, my background's in SCCA, and we've now introduced the FIA GT3 and the FIA GT4. And, I hear people complain, what are we trying to do? Be WRL? Or then on another complaint, what are we trying to do? Be ChampCar? Or we should be more like Grid Life. And it's like trying to make everybody happy is darn near impossible. And so my theory is always stop trying to be everything to everybody and do your thing. And if people want to bring a more expensive car, have a place for that to go. And that's the one way that I think all of these series are learning now, whether it be WRL or ChampCar or SCCA, is that we don't want to turn any paying customer away. So let's find a place for them to come play and have fun and do it safely.
Well, that's something that, RJ and Dana have talked about, is like how we have teams that want more, that want to spend more money, that want to build a more faster, is that a word? A more faster car. They want to do that. And in order to do that, ChampCar is probably not the place to go. So we always recommend WRL. As long as they've got the seat time and move up.
Yeah. And, obviously I didn't come from a license background sort of thing. I do have an HSR license now after this weekend and going through their whole program, which is really great and a good way to get a license if you need one. But, and that was something Joey always promoted too. And I believe, and I can, I've got the numbers, people that come out of ChampCar or Lemons or HPDE with the required experience do a great job. Mm-hmm. Because ChampCar, with so many cars on track and such varying skill levels, WRL also has varying skill levels because we've got people that are pros, just like ChampCar does. It's very similar, honestly, to, the skill stack, except you don't have some of the people who are really, really new, obviously, because we do have a little bit more experience requirement. But learning how to read those people, and I call it body language, to read the body language of the cars around you, there's really no better place to learn that than ChampCar. And people that come into WRL do extremely well at traffic management because that's the name of the game in ChampCar. It just is. You can run the fastest lap in the world, but the chance that you're going to do that, with 90 cars at Road Atlanta or something like that is low. And it's about average lap time. And that's what you learn in ChampCar and how to stay clean and stay out of trouble. And, it translates extremely well to WRL. And conversely, when people want to come race with us, like, how do I get into this? Because of my background and experience and what I've gone through, I recommend people typically go to ChampCar and go ahead and get their seat time. Some of those people wind up coming to us and some people find a home in ChampCar. And both of those things are totally okay with me. Biggest thing to me is that people are racing and that the sport is growing. And, as long as everybody works towards that end, everybody can win.
I love what we're doing here because I feel like this is kind of like a G3 World Summit here, and I joke, but, there was back a time when people in my club wouldn't utter the C word or the N word or that would be NASA, by the way, that N word, or WRL. And now we've got people who are doing a little ChampCar, a little WRL, a little NASA. SCCA is partnering with the Grid Life folks on an event. What? Yeah. Are you kidding me? 10 years ago, that was unheard of. And now we've got three guys sitting around here from completely different worlds, kind of, but we're not different worlds. We're all kind of the same world doing just slightly different stuff. And I think the fact that we could sit down and have this conversation is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So, RJ, when are you guys going to have like Cheap Trick or Kiss or whatever opening up a WRL race?
I would love to do something different. We're starting to introduce some spectator stuff to our events as kind of a way, one, just to get people in. That's how I got into racing. That's how a lot of people get into racing, is watching it. Also just a way to build relationships with tracks and stuff like that. It's just another avenue, something we're trying. But I'd love to do some different stuff like that and have, a concert or some way to increase fan engagement. Grid Life and series like that, I've got a lot of respect for what they've done in the way that they've brought more people to the sport who otherwise, however you want to put it, probably would not have found on-track motorsports.
Right.
And then a lot of those people wind up being converts from, the parking lot crowds or whatever. And that to me is super cool, that they've been able to do that. So, that, and to the point that you're making, Brian, it's, I think it's just best if everybody kind of works together in this, because everybody does. Right now, there's never been a better time to be somebody who's racing, because there's so many options. If there's a track you want to go to, there's probably 3 or 4 organizations your car fits in that you can go race at. And it's just really cool what's kind of going on.
Yeah. The only thing I think what would be really helpful is for the series to try to come together on rules packages, so that cars can be a little easier to cross over. Maybe not have the same class structure, but have a way to say, okay, this car from this series works in this class in my series. That kind of stuff.
That's hard to do.
It is.
And RJ knows about that, because you have folks that left those organizations because they didn't want that stringent rule set. They wanted a more liberal rule set. I say liberal loosely, but it's, and now there's folks within that at one point were so against that, kind of want that rule set back to reel in some of these cars. But
again,
I don't know.
Can't solve everybody's problems, right?
I know.
Yeah,
I personally like the power to weight ratio. I love it, but I'm just one vote out of how many members we got? 6,000-7,000. So I don't know.
I think the way that ChampCar approaches rules, especially in light of the way that you're trying to attract customers, which are people that are a lot of people that are totally new to racing, not everybody, but a fair percentage. And that is like a huge service that ChampCar does to all of motorsports, is giving people that access, but making it so that somebody can race whatever, I still love my Cobalt SS that I, used to autocross,
right.
Who's going to race a Cobalt SS? Well, the way that the rules
are really fast.
Oh yeah. Trust me. I'm acutely aware of all of them, because I still nerd out on Cobalt SS stuff, but, I think it's a little bit, it makes it easier for people to be like, oh, well, I can do this, this, and this, or they've got some goofy oddball car that they want to race. And then you can really be creative with the way you approach a rule book. And I think you can do the exact same thing with WRL. It's just, different constraints, Yeah,
I have a buddy that's getting ready to do another race with you guys, and I see him creating.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So. Yeah. And that's what is exciting to me about motorsports, like back to the point about the V8 swapped Miata or whatever. And, my heart still lies with the general production classes and those guys, because, that's what I was racing last weekend was an E30. And, I'm more, that's more me. So, obviously that'll always be something that's important to me. So as much as the pictures, people like to post pictures of the big, fast, crazy cars and stuff like that, I'm still very much, my number one goal is to continue growing those general production classes, because that's what's kind of near and dear to my heart.
So GT3 Porsche 911, that's not your thing?
What's funny is I can't say that, because I spent 2 years in IMSA as team manager for ACI Motorsports, and that was GT3 Cup cars. So we had 4 of them at one point. Now WRL's gotten so big. I was actually used to be like in the hauler, just got done prepping the car for tomorrow, cleaning the wheels, getting the tire business done, close up the tent. Everybody else goes to have a drink, and then I go inside and get on the computer and start doing WRL stuff all night long. So that was brutal for the couple of years that I did that. But, got a lot of perspective, and it's cool to see, what happens at the pro level, what happens at the ChampCar level. And that's why I really want to get back into racing, so I can go see how these other organizations are doing things.
It's hard, because it's something that I did. I tried to quietly attend with Twatty, the VIR race with you guys. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I drive in, it's like, hey, Bill. It's like, ah.
Yeah, I saw you from 2 miles away.
I know. It's like I'm just trying to watch. And it was fun. I mean, I had a blast, and it was, I learned a lot. There's a bunch of stuff in there that I really liked. Part of it was the fueling side of it. You had some really good ideas on fueling. which I think we did make a couple of changes to our fueling. Since you guys had already got the what do you call those quick disconnect, the red tops
dry
or whatever
brakes.
they call them? Yeah, or dry brakes. So they finally approved those. And then, but I still think that everybody, even near a fuel stop, should be all kitted out. I think that's the greatest rule ever, because one day it's going to get bad. But
yeah, I agree. And especially as busy as pit lane can get, and it does with us as well, because, you catch a caution, you've got to come in, just like with ChampCar. And, you get those cars stacked in there. Well, it doesn't matter if you're torquing wheels. If you're standing next to somebody with a fuel bottle, you really need to be heads up. And the number of cars that you guys have makes that more challenging too when you double stack. I remember being at VIR 24 and we're like, can we triple stack in here?
Actually, we did.
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, we had 3 cars one time, all of us in pit lane at the same time. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Times.
So what's a typical car count for you guys on a weekend, and how many weekends do you do?
So we've got 13 this year. We follow the FIA limit, which is 25 cars a track mile. I back that down a little bit at certain tracks that tend to be a little bit more contentious for multi-class racing. But for the most part, we're at 25 cars per track mile. So like right now we've got 83 registered for Daytona. Sure. 85 is our cap there. We do like 60 cars at Barber is our limit. At Mid-O, we'll do 55. So a little bit lower car count. With that, obviously the entry fee has to go up a little bit, but just given the nature of what we're doing and the fact that there's multi-classes, it's, you got to control the car count a little bit more to make sure everything plays out nicely.
So you at WRL and Bill at ChampCar were the first who really did the live stream stuff and did it well. SCCA has now jumped into that. I'm involved with that. What's the benefits you guys see from doing that, both of you?
I just think bringing people, obviously I took a lot of inspiration from what Bill had done with ChampCar. I can't lie about that. But then, we actually partner with Driver's Eye Live. So Driver's Eye Live is who does all of our stuff. And then I was happy to be a reference for them with the SCCA. And I'm working on actually hooking them up with some other organizations to help them grow. Because obviously, again, that's kind of my whole philosophy in this is if everybody wins, then really we all win, because, racing's such a small community. But I just think it's super important. One, everybody wants their family and friends to be able to watch them. I think that's a huge thing, or at least think that they're watching them. I don't know how many wives are actually sitting there all day long. Like, oh yeah, I watched the whole thing, or husbands or what have you. But then, and then the other thing is just having exposure to racing. What's really cool with WRL that's happened is a lot of people that follow like the SRO stream, because I've been watching that more because Kurt, my boss, is racing an SRO. There's like this guy, boy from New York, that always comments on all this stuff. Well, he's found his way in, and then some of his Reddit cohorts have come, and it's like these people that are watching all these different races. So it's kind of cool. And plus you can go back and watch what happened later, right? And that was something huge for me in ChampCar was, if we were doing well and I could go back and be like, oh yeah, they caught the battle, or we're talking about us. Everybody likes to have that, so I think it's a customer service thing as much as anything.
I looked at it as originally was, Paulie and I worked on this. He did something a little differently than what I was doing, but we ultimately came together and developed this product. And one of the things that I always focused on was that most of the guys racing with us, this is their Indy 500. This is it. This is the highest they're ever going to go. Let's give them the same Indy 500 part of it. Let's give them a show. Let's talk to them. Let's show them racing and just put on the best thing that we can do for them. And the bosses liked it. The racers liked it. And here we are.
Yeah. I mean, I don't speak for the SCCA. I'm one of their announcers, but I do know that the reason that the SCCA is doing this now is because you guys did it, and our club members kept on saying, why is WRL and ChampCar doing it, and why aren't we? We should have at least.
Why can't they do it? Yeah. I saw that thread on the forum when the president got up there and said, hey, what are we doing wrong? And oh my God, that was like the worst thing to ever post on a forum.
Well, but I give him credit for doing it, because open yourself up for that kind of stuff, and Yeah, I mean, it's a direct result of the success that you guys have had in your respective series, and I just think it used to be. I always thought that would be a perk, and now I feel like it's more of a requirement.
Yeah. I don't plan it, and then it's like all of a sudden I get, why aren't we broadcasting that race? It's like, dude, this is like so much money to do.
I know,
and most of it comes out of Bill's pocket. So the other cool thing is that RJ or WRL has their log, their control log, where they log everything that happens, and I was seeing some comments on the web about, why aren't we doing stuff like that? I'm like, I don't know, why aren't we doing stuff like that? So I talked to RJ, and he gave me the formula how to do it, and so we've been doing it this year, and the feedback has been pretty awesome. Like I think the best feedback I got, RJ, was, oh my God, I thought you guys were just sitting up there eating ice cream and stuff, and you guys are actually doing something. It's like,
that is 100% why we started doing it, because people were like, well, didn't you do something about that? You saw this happen, or they passed under yellow, then nothing happened. Well, yeah, they got a penalty. Well, I didn't see them lose a lap. Well, maybe that penalty was assigned and you came in for a caution and they stayed out. And, so as soon as we did that, people started coming up immediately and were like, oh my gosh, you guys are so busy. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm telling you.
I don't know. Daytona was like because we've been pretty good up to a point this year. And then we went to Daytona, and I said, okay, I'm going to take every flag call, I'm going to put it all down. Oh my God, we got up to like 500 entries or something like that over 14 hours. It was insane, but it was just cool stuff. Hey, there's a rabbit over here, or somebody knocked down a cone. I'd put it down because it's stuff that gets done at a track.
I start to think that just by this conversation, Bill, that everything that a series does new now starts with a web post. Why don't you do this? Because it feels like everyone's just responding to web posts these days.
Well, it's one of those. No, this was actually a guy that came up to me and said,
okay.
Why can't you do like WRL does? And it's like, why can't we do what WRL does? Because it works.
Right.
And so I talked to RJ and got his permission, and he said, here it is. And so I stole it.
Very cool.
I shouldn't say that, right?
No. I think if you ask permission, it's not really stealing.
Well, I look at it like this too, because we have teams that want to go race in WRL. And you have that requirement for, drivers having some sort of experience. We don't keep tabs on our drivers, unfortunately, but we can keep tabs on the cars. So if they tell you, hey, I've driven with Visceral Racing, and this is how much I've done. I race Racing Strong and Biohazard or whatever, and you can go back to the logs and look for those car numbers and say, hey, I don't know, man, you guys kept getting pulled over about every other stint. Were you in the car? That kind of stuff. So. I mean, it's a good tracking system for some of our drivers too. And we can actually spot now who's causing issues or who's not causing issues. So, because we have our ideas, but when you see it in writing and you actually can put it in data, I think that's pretty cool.
Well, something really neat that, and I'll go ahead and share this too, because why not? And I think it's a good thing that you guys are doing it, and I look forward to racing with you guys more, and I'll want it. But they actually have some conditional formatting that if a number pops up in the log so many times, it then changes that number in those cells a different color. So then you can see, okay, well, this car, now it may just be multiple spins or whatever, but at least like, okay, hey, we need to go back and look at this car, what's going on? Do we need to pull somebody in? And that's super helpful too. That helps you track like, oh man, this car's had 3 spins, which you can do on paper, but it's just a lot easier to do the Control F and find what you need.
But what's nice about it is, and because we are a beginner series, that maybe that guy just needs a talking to, or maybe maybe there's an issue with the car that's causing this, and the guy doesn't know it. I mean, we have guys, like I said, we have guys that have never raced before. They don't know what a real race car should handle like. They have it in their head, and if it's every time they make a right-hand turn, the car spins out, there might be an issue with the car. So it is kind of good to give him a call in. Hey, he's just spun out 3 or 4 times. Let's talk to him.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or, somebody could be fatigued. I know that's something that too. Everybody in endurance racing always talks about. And if you're doing well as a driver, you're going to be like, well, I'm going to tough this out. But, you really lose track of where your limit is when that starts happening. So,
and that's something. It's like, hey, when was their last pit stop? Your last time in scoring? They'll say, well, they hour and 50 minutes. Well, he just spun out like 3 or 4 times. That weight distribution with all that fuel being out of the car might have screwed him up, but he might be just getting wore out.
Right.
Making bad decisions.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Bill, anything else for RJ before we start to say goodbye and thank yous?
Just I whited out the big board so nobody can see it.
Okay. I've never seen anything on the big board.
I'm going to look that up.
All right, man. Thank you for visiting us, and we hope you guys have what's your next race coming up?
So we're Road America next weekend. And then after that, we head back to Daytona, and then we'll be doing a GP only race, which, for those people who are interested in trying WRL, that's a race without the GT4 cars. So we're doing 2 races at Road Atlanta. That's around the end of July. So we'll be trying that out, spectator event as well. But yeah, and then I'm hoping, crossing my fingers, to come do the 24 hours of VIR with you guys again, because that one owes me. That one owes me, because I think we broke on hour 22 and just decided we didn't want to do our 3rd head gasket on our M20 and packed it up. So we got to do better this time.
Yeah, I went over to talk to you guys, and you were out in the car one time, and then I went over to do it again, and you guys were done. So, Unfortunately. But, we're going to have big signs all around you, WRL with arrows pointed down at you and stuff. So. Thanks, RJ, for visiting us this weekend.
All right. Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me, and we'll see you soon.
All right.
Thanks, man.
All right. So, Bill, what's up next? I think we've got some video that we're going to do next, right?
So last week we were going to run the video. Unfortunately, the sound didn't work. And, I just blame the engineer for that. Not you, Brian.
Oh, no, that would be the right person to blame.
Yeah, the engineer.
Exactly.
So, we're going to play last week's interviews from, where were we? Ozarks.
Ozarks, that's right.
Yeah. Oh, my God. You should see the email I've gotten.
Yeah,
I have gotten so many messages and emails from folks that were just blown away by the track. They loved it. Some of the changes the track has made it safer, though one of the teams, which we'll talk to, asked that they not make the turn 1 off camber, kind of, because it's still scary as hell.
Yeah,
but the fence is farther back.
Yeah. I don't think you can fix that part.
But somebody had wrote a post up where they were saying, basically, that the roads around the track, and this is something I noticed because I didn't notice it driving around my Ram, but I was out there in my MR2 Spider. The roads around that area of the Ozarks are just like the tracks.
Okay.
Off camber, decreasing radius, just really funky, turny. Oh, God, it was so much fun driving out. Scary because there's trees everywhere. But, yeah. Cool. All right. Let's go listen to these folks.
All right, let's see if I got it right this time. Here are the Winter Circle interviews from Ozarks for your viewing and listening pleasure.
You got to hand it to Frank. Prepared an awesome car, as always. And we were able to bring it home with the win, just stay out of trouble. And I was turning some decent laps there at the end, so it ended up working out okay.
Any other issues today?
Oh, there's always issues. Yeah, there's always issues. But we got rid of our issues yesterday, so today it was a pretty clean run for us.
Cool.
Yeah.
Anything different for tomorrow?
Drive faster. That's it. Drive faster.
901 Motorsports on the 8-hour Saturday race here at Ozarks International Raceway.
Down here with Touchstone Racing, second place.
Man, you guys are down in 40th or 3rd or 6th or whatever, and then at the end of the race, there you are.
Yeah, that would have been a big gain right there. No, great race. Car ran really well. Had some issues I guess near the end, from the middle to the end, our fuel pressure regulator started acting up. So we just backed off the pace and just tried to maintain.
Because you were within 5 seconds of the winner at one point.
Yeah, we were pretty close, so.
Could you see him?
Oh, yes, I could. I wanted that conversation, but then we had to slow down to try to make sure we didn't blow the motor up. But I so wanted to try to have that race.
Yeah, that was a really tough decision to call him to back off, and save the engine for tomorrow.
So you could see remotely what the car was doing?
Yeah, so we run a data system that some radio modems to capture all of the data from the car. So we're capturing fuel pressure regulators, engine data, GPS, everything live. So we're sitting there watching the fuel pressure regulator go up and down and trying to keep the AFR in check.
So you're going to do anything different tomorrow?
We're going to fix the parts and go back out there and have fun.
Cool. All right, guys. Oh, who are your drivers this weekend?
Myself, Josh, JC, Carlos, and Mike.
Right here, these guys right here.
Carlos and Mike.
Fantastic job.
All right, guys. Congrats. Second place, Ozarks.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Okay, down here with Auto Spec, finishing third place. You guys are tall. Finishing third place overall here at Ozarks. Could you cut the big guys there?
Well, we thought we were going to have them, but then we had a throttle body problem, but we brought it in, and Brian saved us. He changed the throttle body in about 8 minutes, got us back on track, and here we are.
So throttle bodies, they're like the most simplest part on a car. What happened?
It broke.
Who do you blame? Do you blame
anybody? I blame the driver.
So just too hard on the throttle?
You know, all I'm doing is pushing it to the floor. That's all I'm doing, and keeping it there.
So you were catching those guys towards the end. Do you think you could catch them?
You know, Touchstones, they're tough. They're tough. We race hard against them every race. Every once in a while, we got them last year, but it's a battle every time we race them. It's really fun. They're really talented and got a good car.
Cool. They going to do anything different tomorrow?
Are they going to?
Yeah, the team, Touchstone. Or sorry, not Touchstone. Are you going to do anything different tomorrow on the car to catch these guys?
We're just going to keep doing what we do, is drive as hard as we can, and hopefully get some breaks.
All right, congrats, guys.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, down here with Love Racing, fourth overall, but leading this race for the end of it, man. That was pretty tough at the end there.
Yeah, just trying to maintain a gap to second overall, and just pushed it a bit too hard, off at one, right into the wall. So.
Obviously, you're okay.
Yeah, no issue with the safety side of things.
Well, at least on the racing part.
Yeah, but.
Car's okay?
Car's okay. We need a new tie rod end, and another team had one, so they're going to hook us up once they get out of impound, and hopefully we'll get it back together and maybe have a shot tomorrow.
You going to do anything different tomorrow?
Not hit any walls.
There you go. Yeah. All right, guys. Good race. Sorry about the end there, but look good.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Down here with Williams Racing Group, fifth place, second in class, third, who knows where.
There's some confusion going.
We'll fix it in post.
Yeah.
So, pretty tough race out there today.
Yeah, I think so. Once you know this track, though, it's just a matter of just working up the nerve to know how quick you can go in the corners, and eventually you find to love it. Eventually you kind of get used to it, and you really come to enjoy it.
They're yelling and screaming. I don't know what they're talking about.
They're yelling my name, and I don't care any beyond that.
So, who were your drivers this weekend?
Myself and Jeremy, Justin with the hat on yonder, John and Hunter as well over yonder with the tan jacket and race suit still.
You going to do anything different tomorrow to catch those guys up front?
I think so. I think every turn, yeah, LS swap it. No, it's a matter of just finding out the 2 or 3 extra miles an hour you need on every corner to keep that momentum going. And, just being accustomed to the track.
Congrats.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Down here with Looney Tunes, finishing like 8th place overall, first in D class. Man, that was a big hit at the end.
It was a big hit. Yeah. That it was.
And the Fox body actually looks good, like no dent. I mean, it's got a couple of dents, but nothing really big.
Yeah, it came out relatively okay, considering.
So pretty good race for you today?
Yeah, it was good all around. Everyone drove great, and it was fun. Track's a blast, and car drove good, so it was a good day.
Who's going to be your drivers? Who were your drivers today?
We have me, then my dad there, and Dale.
All right, anything different tomorrow? More fuel?
Just stay safe, stay clean.
There you go. All right, guys, good race today.
All right.
Good race. Down here with Minimum Talent Racing, all the way from Texas. Who wants to talk?
The spokesperson. I have nothing to say, but go ahead. All right, yeah, well, this is an opportunity to really thank ChampCar for having us here at the Ozarks, and more specifically Bill, who never fails the opportunity to criticize us for being old fat guy, especially when
All right, wait. So we interviewed his daughter.
It's not my daughter.
His no, not your daughter. Teammate recently, and I asked her. Zinnia? Yeah, Zinnia. I asked Zinnia, what was it like racing with a bunch of old guys, and they took it personally.
Not at all. Not at all. No. Well, you race with old guys too. So yeah, no, we had a blast. So thanks, and the track is awesome, and obviously the organization is top notch. So thanks for having us.
So what happened at the end there with the car?
Well, it went into limp mode, so started using way too much gas, and we have a habit of running out of gas. So yeah, we ran out of gas.
Who were the drivers today?
So we've got these 3 handsome gentlemen. They're all young, barrel guys that are ready to race tomorrow and just do a repeat.
All right, guys. No different prep tomorrow?
We're just going to change the order, and then we'll put a cheater engine overnight, and hopefully you guys don't do the same thing as you did today, which is kind of do the bore scope thing.
Yeah, we might do it elsewhere.
All right, just make sure you have gloves, okay?
And smile.
Yes.
Thanks, Bill. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Our EC winner today. What's your team name?
Gulp Racing.
There you go, Gulp Racing, and their Gulp-colored Honda S2000. So you guys won EC both today and yesterday.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
I didn't get to interview you guys. You guys took off too quick.
We're just that fast. Yeah. Freaky fast.
So why didn't you win overall? That's a big question everybody has.
We have too small of a fuel tank.
Okay.
But then again, we're giving out all the details.
I don't know. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, and I think today we got lucky after months and months of blowing transmissions, so we're happy with third. That's what we can say.
Transmission lasted, but you shouldn't really dig small fuel tanks.
I don't think it's
size doesn't matter.
I think it's how you use it.
There you go.
Rather than the size.
All right, guys. Congrats on the EC win this
thanks,
weekend.
Brother.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
901 Motorsports winner both days. Brett Shannon, you guys hauled the turkey today.
Yeah, it was a good day. I mean, we were. I gotta say we got lucky. I don't know what Voodoo Frank did before this weekend. We had honestly, the real answer, we had a terrible prep for this. Everything went wrong. Somebody pulled in front of him, crashed his truck, but when we got here, we blew up one car first session yesterday, brand new car, something happened to the motor, but this thing just ran great. She's old, kind of ugly, but it was a good drive.
Well, I remember when this car was new.
Yeah.
You guys thought it was so great.
3 years ago, yeah. She's had a lot of miles on her. Yeah. But it was a lot of fun, though. I mean, this track is just extraordinary. It's just great. I mean, people talk about being afraid of it, but you respect it and be smooth and don't do dumb stuff, and it's just fantastic. It's my favorite track in the country.
So who are the drivers today?
Who drove? Let's think. So, new guy. So, busted out the new guy. Where is he? Mason back there. Boy's fast. And so that was great. Phil Danielle got in second. Kept her rolling. Todd Fox joined us. He finished yesterday and won yesterday at the end, the final stint. And then I finished it up today. So,
all right, congratulations on your first place here at Ozarks.
Thank you, appreciate it.
The Mustang that could.
Yes, sir.
You guys, second place overall here at Ozarks. First in D class. Heck of a race, man. You guys, you're just playing the game, waiting till the end, watching your fuel. You almost had it.
Yeah, we had a pretty good day today. Car, no issues whatsoever. Car super fast here. So, did good. Cool. Did an excellent job.
So, what do you think?
It was a good weekend.
Good weekend?
All in all.
You wanted that win, though, didn't you?
I did, but I was happy with any result we could get.
We weren't catching up.
Yeah.
Is this track that tough?
It is. It's very fun. It's a very fun track, but it's very tough. I'm exhausted for after an hour and a half. So, but it's a great track. So
really good track.
Definitely one of my favorites, even though I don't like turn one.
Oh, you don't like turn one? Isn't that scary under speed?
Yes, change turn one. It'd be excellent track.
Like, how would you change it? Make it go straight?
Yeah. Have it not so off camber going in turning.
Or just give us 800 feet of runoff.
Yeah, a little bit different.
Yeah, if they just put a football stadium.
Yeah, just football
run
stadium.
out on the
I mean, the track's amazing. It's a lot of fun. It's so much fun. It gives you everything to challenge, and it's what I enjoy. So
It's definitely a roller coaster.
You guys gonna be at Howard?
we're gonna
Yes,
try.
sir.
All right, guys. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
All right, man.
Second
Thank
week.
you.
Second place. First
Thank
place.
you.
B class. Silver Martini Racing. Third place, man. Pretty tough to be in there for a lot of teams, and you guys.
We
won
lasted.
out.
Yeah. We pushed a bit. We passed a couple of cars in that last stint to get a position, but I didn't think it would have been for first. And then saw a couple of guys. I saw the blue car in the gravel down on the last few laps, and I still didn't know. They told me that we might be in first place from the pit, but I wasn't sure. And then I missed the checker and went through around the carousel, and my Flagtronics was still showing green, and I came down the hill still loaded for bears, thinking that was the guy I was just talking to. He was in the white BMW, and he had got the word. He caught the checker, and he was kind of doing a little bit of a wiggle in front of me, and I almost hit him. But then at that time, I noticed people waving to the corner workers, and I went, yes, okay, we're good. So
Yeah, we still got to work on that side of the Flagtronics part. It'll get there.
yeah, but it's good. It was a fun race. We lost a rear main seal on Friday, so we didn't get any practice. We got that in Friday, and then yesterday was kind of our practice day, and today our best guy was in the car first, and we ran right up near the front. And then we got 3 other drivers who are pretty good, but not quite the same caliber, and so it kind of pushed us down the order a little bit, and I went out, and I'm kind of in the middle, and so just pushed what I could and hoped for the best and tried to keep it on the track all the time. And it's a wild. Let's see, we had myself, Ryan Ward is probably the quickest guy in the car, most definitely. He started the race. His dad, Ron Ward, who is an amazing guy who makes me look like a kid, who did a nice job in the second stint. Jan Kasperbauer was in the third stint. Mark Kaufman, fourth, I believe, and then I Craig Silver. I'm the guy who finished it up. So
Congratulations on pulling out of third place here at the Ozarks.
thank you, Bill. It was a lot of fun.
Down here with fourth place.
Yeah.
Pretty tough, man.
Yeah, it was a rough finish for sure. I'm sure
Just got
all
out
of our.
there in the marbles.
No, so turn 1 was fine. Went in to turn in for turn 2. No steering. I just went straight off into the gravel. I thought our splitter was on its end of its life, so I thought it might have gone under the tires. Turns out that the driver's front tire popped on turn 2.
Because we heard it sounded really bad coming back to pit lane.
It was awful. The whole car was
idea was it to pull it all the way forward across the line? Because that was the smartest move you did all week.
They were about to jack it up, and I was like, let's just cross the timing loop. Yeah. But I don't know that it actually counted yet. So
yeah,
it did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Put us in the fourth. Yeah, you got fourth.
There you go.
There you go. And you can win
Awesome.
on pit lane. So
Yeah. It was a rough lap, but we got it in. Yeah. But credit to these guys.
30 seconds behind getting the new tire on it going. So.
We were just limping it home, though, so it's all credit
So
to
who
these
were the
guys.
drivers?
So we got Nick Love, he's the car owner. He's our fastest driver this weekend. We got Sean Saputra, and then Tommy Love, his brothers of the owner. And
all right, guys.
everybody killed it
That
this
was a
weekend.
good race this weekend. You guys had it.
You had some bad luck, but yeah.
It's endurance racing. It happens.
You go 7-hour, 45-minute races.
Yeah, let me tell you about those. All right, guys. Good race weekend.
Cheers. Thanks, Bill.
Kevin, I want to interview you. Talk about this car. You were driving.
Talk about this car.
Hey, Kevin. Open throttle, 64. You guys did pretty well. Fifth place.
Yeah.
It's a pretty tough track out there.
Boy, what a fantastic track. Can't say enough about it. The facilities are fantastic here. We came from Atlanta. It's been a bucket list since we saw it was open. And boy, I think 5 seconds picked up since Friday test. So it's one you need to sleep on. Lots of hidden little tricks on this track. It's fantastic.
So who were drivers this weekend?
Myself, I think they're all loading up. So
That's all right. We'll get them.
But, yeah.
All right, guys. Good race and fifth place overall.
Awesome. Cheers. Thanks.
Down here with Utter Chaos and their Dodge Neon, Chrysler Neon. What is it?
It's a Dodge Neon.
Or not a Plymouth?
Yeah, Dodge Neon.
Pretty good out there. We haven't seen a Dodge up here in quite a while.
Yeah, we had a tough day, but we'll take it. The team worked really hard on it, and we lost transmission yesterday, so we put an unknown one in it, and it ran all day today, so we're pretty pleased with that.
And B-class winner. Who were your drivers this weekend?
Scott, who's a first-time ChampCar racer, never raced before with us, so had a lot of fun. And my buddy Reiner over there, who's looking underneath the hood of the Mustang.
Wait a second. He's got a ChumpCar patch on his suit.
I think it's race suit rental. Oh, yeah. Yeah, but we had a lot of fun. We had even fixing the car, we had fun. So we had a lot of good hospitality. It's a great track. We've never been here before, but it was a lot of fun.
Cool. All right, guys. Congratulations, B-Class winner here at the Ozarks.
Thank you very much.
Welcome back to Inside ChampCar. I'm Brian Bielanski. He is Bill Strong.
Man, that was fun.
That was fun.
Yeah.
The best part was hearing all those people talk while we were seeing you and me.
Yeah, well, we don't. Number one rule of broadcasting is don't talk about the crap that just happened.
Oh, shoot.
As long as it's working now, nobody cares.
Oh, goodness.
It is what it is.
My favorite part of the interviews every time is no matter what series, no matter what level, no matter whether it's Formula One or the kids Briggs kart series at the local kart track, the excuses are all the same.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's my favorite part.
You know what we have favorite parts of? We have swag.
I don't have any of that.
We'll get you one.
Okay.
So, yeah, we have hats.
Nice.
We'll have them at Hallett. Then we'll have them at Watkins Glen as well.
Okay.
So we have white, blue, charcoal, and black.
Very nice.
Or royal or navy, or I don't know what the heck they call it. But yeah, and I have patches.
Oh, I love patches.
So
the only thing I like more than patches are stickers.
Yeah, we have those too, but I don't have them here.
Okay. I love it.
We put this back so I don't lose it.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, we have a couple thousand patches that we had made up and hats. We have a limited selection right now, but I'll have more.
Okay.
It takes money to buy things, and I have a budget, as you probably know.
I know how budgets work.
Yeah, and you just don't have enough. You wish you did, but you don't. So we'll have hats and I picked up the T-shirts yesterday also for Daytona.
That was a couple weeks ago.
Wherever the hell I'm going. Yeah, Watkins Glen.
Watkins Glen.
I have the stuff from Watkins Glen, or the shirts.
So I can't read the chat from as far away as I am, but I believe that Timothy Elliott's been in here all night long trolling us.
Yeah, he wants an Ozark sticker. I didn't have Ozark stickers made up.
Oh, okay.
But I've got to send the artwork off to RV Graphics, and they'll do up some stickers for us. So, but yeah, it's
Anyway.
Yeah, we thought we were going to cancel that race. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Timothy, for always being in the chat with us. We appreciate your long support of the Inside ChampCar,
Yes,
now
we do.
vodcast.
Yes, we do.
So
And sadly, Tim's car went crunch at Ozarks.
Oh no.
So,
Sorry,
yeah.
Tim.
Yeah.
Crunch.
He'll have it fixed. It was just sheet metal,
Oh,
a little
okay.
pink
So not
scratched. Yeah, nothing bad.
Okay.
So he's such a perfectionist. He said, I'm taking it home. I'm done.
I love it.
No, it got crunched up pretty good.
So what's
But,
up next? The Glen, right?
No, we're headed to Hallett.
Oh, that's right, Hallett.
Yeah, tomorrow I'm headed to North Carolina to hook up with Jimmy to get some stuff, my stuff transferred out of his van into my truck for Watkins Glen, which is coming up a week after Hallett.
Okay.
But I'm driving the Spider out to Hallett, and I'll be leaving next week sometime. My daughter graduates college this next weekend.
Congratulations.
So, yeah.
To her.
long gone. Now
I'm sure
she's
you had
off
nothing
to
to do with
grad
it.
school to be a doctor of something, therapy, physical therapy, doctor of physical therapy.
Nice.
So she's going off to do that. So that'll be the second doctor in the family, as my son-in-law is a doctor and my wife is a doctor.
Sure.
That's third. So yeah, and the third strong kid to finish college. So,
Did they finish college strong?
Well, one did.
Well, they're going to grad school to
Another
become
two
a
finished
doctor.
it like a Garcia. So yeah.
So they must have finished fairly strong.
Oh yes, yeah. They've all done well in school.
Very
Even
cool.
my son, when he was going to school, was doing fairly well. So
So as far as Hallett goes, have they fixed? Is the construction done? Do you know? It didn't look like it was going to be finished by the time.
I forgot to ask
that. Soon.
thank you for the warning, though.
Okay, well, we'll get
Yeah.
that for you next week. we'll talk about that next week.
Yeah, I'll yes, and I'll get some more info from Chelsea. She's taking some time off this week, so
yep.
But I'll get that information from her. There's some construction going on, and we have to do.
Yeah, there's
there's
two detours. The one is there's 3 detours. The short detours add about 10 minutes to the trip, and the long detour, which basically means you miss the 2 detours, means you got to go all the way past to the next exit and come back.
Yeah, I don't know if that really affects us. As a ChampCar employee, we get helicoptered into all our
events. When I was with you, I never got helicoptered anywhere. Wait a second.
It was.
Hold on a second. Get.
You didn't see that big dust storm behind the Willow garage there?
Get Dana on the horn. I didn't get any helicopter treatment. I'm just chopped liver in this process.
Well, it's, star of the show, man.
Well, obviously. I mean, you're just a microphone diva. I know.
Speaking of which, so sorry about the sound on that.
No, I thought it was fine.
Interview. Not for them. They couldn't hear me or answer
we didn't want to
questions.
hear you.
I found myself yelling because that was the only way I could see the microphone move because I'm behind the microphone.
Right.
So I've got a better setup. I've had a better setup, just forgot I had it, and I'll be using that for the next ones. I've already tested it. Works great.
Remember that
tech tip? I don't have a tech tip because nobody sent me a tech tip.
I was going to say, you just told me not to talk about the past, and you just did the same thing.
Well, I know people wait for that kind of stuff. So, but we're off to Hallett. We come back home. We come back home for a day or two, and then some of us are our staff are actually headed straight to Watkins Glen from Hallett.
Okay.
I've got to come home, swap cars out, and then head up to Watkins Glen. That's always a great race. We're at 109 cars right now. We were at 110, which is our limit. But let me tell you, if you are on the fence about going to it, you think it's sold out, contact Dana. We'll get you into the race. So that track has plenty of room, and we'll get you in. So just if for some reason you can't enter it, just send an email to info@champcar.org, and Dana will take care of you.
Get her done.
Yep. And then we're home, I think, for a couple of weeks, and then we head out to Autobahn June 17th and 18th. So that's always a great one. I have not been to Autobahn yet, which is somewhere in Joliet, Illinois, which I think is a prison, isn't it?
There is a correctional facility there. I don't think it has.
I only remember that from the Blues Brothers.
I'm not sure if it's still in business or not. It might be.
So yeah.
All right, I love it.
So I drove by it once. I think when Chelsea and I came back from our initial visit to Ozarks, we drove right by it. She goes, "There's Autobahn." I'm like, "Oh, it's okay."
Everybody who goes there loves it.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a pretty cool track. So we'll see.
That was one of those Midwest.
Ray came back and was like, oh. Yeah. We have our board of directors stuff going on right now, so they're getting their stuff ready for the board of directors meeting, which is probably going to take place at Carolina Motorsports Park, June 24th and 25th. That weekend, we'll do our board meeting from the track. I don't know if it's open to the public, but we will be videoing it, and that is open to the public. And I think a lot of it has to do with the test day and other stuff going on. So still waiting for the real instructions on what we're doing, but we'll be doing that from the track.
When you say videoing it, would that mean it's going to be live?
It'll be live.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as we have good internet, we'll do it live.
Got it.
So if not, it'll be put up on video.
All right.
The other thing is that I know that the financials were due like yesterday. I have them. I'm still we're getting some of the other formatting stuff done, and that should be out before the week or before the end of the week. So just for the yearly financials for ChampCar, which actually look pretty good.
Good.
So yeah, not as gloomy as I thought it was going to be.
That's what I like to hear.
Oh yeah, yeah, me too. The paycheck cleared. So yeah, that's all I care about now.
All right, man.
So, and then what else is going on? Make sure you read those subs, guys. There's a lot of stuff in there. We've made some changes to a couple of subs for camping. I know that Autobahn added camping onto that today, and I updated that. We did some changes to Watkins Glen subs as well late last week. What was the other one? Was it Sebring? I think I did some changes to Sebring, and we're still waiting for information from MSR Houston before I do that one. And High Plains, I think that one, I did some, I think 2 weeks ago, I did some changes to the High Plains subs. And I've got the artwork all done up for the VIR race. We're having T-shirts at that one, and I changed up my art for the stickers. So I hope people like that. Okay. And then Gingerman. Oh yeah, Chelsea and I were working on Gingerman the other day. We made some changes and updates to that stuff. So that's in August. Nice. But we're talking August being so far away. But I'll tell you, it'll be next week before you know it. Especially if you're building a car. Yeah,
that's right.
Especially if you're building a car. So. The championship information is up on the web. So if you go to champcar.org and click on the championship page, you'll be able to see where you're on the championship. I'm still working with Paulie to tweak it a bit. Dana and I talked, and we're going to actually put everybody in the order of how many races you've done. So if you're ranked number 1, because there'll be like 5 teams ranked 1, you will be ranked according to your how many races. So the more races you do, the better it is for you. So
okay.
So we're still working on the Excel math or whatever the magic
formulas.
Paul does. Yeah, formulas.
Okay.
To get done, and once Paulie gets that done, we'll have that up, and I'll promote it like crazy. But the championship stuff's up online. Yeah,
it's good that you've got Paulie working on that.
Yeah. So because
if it were
he does math.
Right. That's my point.
Bill has a calculator.
Where's your slide rule, Bill?
I do have one.
I'm sure you do. I have no doubt that you do.
I do, because, I'm of that generation where we had to learn slide rules in school.
That's right. So, I am not.
Yeah. I had to learn it. And then my dad was a machinist, so I had to learn slide rule. And then, the multiplication tables and stuff like that when I was we were still doing subtraction in school, and he's got me doing division. And it's Dad, no clue. He screwed me up.
Come on now. All right. Anything else, my friend?
No, that's it, man. And don't forget, guys, please like us, subscribe to us, help us out here. We need to get our numbers up, and I have to justify my job. So.
All right. I'm going to go right from here. I could see it. I'll go hit like right now.
Go.
All right. That's going to do it for another episode of Inside ChampCar, whatever we are. If you like what you heard, subscribe, smash the buttons, whatever that means. Both to inside the ChampCar Endurance Series YouTube channel, as well as the Racing Wire Podcast Network. Leave some comments on the Facebook page. Check us out next week. He's Bill Strong. I'm Brian Bielanski. Have yourself a great weekend. Go play with cars.